All right, welcome everyone. I'm so excited to introduce my next speaker, Adrien Blackwell, who's just an awesome human. And we've had such great connection in the short time that we've known each other. So I'm so thrilled to have her here speaking to all of you. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her and then we're going to jump into this conversation. So Adrien is a celebrity healer who's been featured on many TV shows around the globe, including NBC News, Travel Channel, and the Bio Channel. Adrien has a healing background as a Reiki master teacher, shamanic healer, theta healer, and medical Qigong student. That was a catalyst for her to create her own modality, Ascended Healing, and the recorded healing called Ascension Codes. And the topic that you actually really love covering is discovering your passion and purpose through healing. And I was like, well, that's perfect because this is a series all about discovering your purpose. So, Adrien, welcome. So glad you're here.
Thank you. I had the pleasure of interviewing you for my series just a few months ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you were like one of my favorite speakers. So
I'm so
first, when
honored.
you reached out to me, I was like, of course. Like, of course. Not only is this my jam, like this my topic, but it's you.
You're the
Yes.
best. I mean, really, it was so fun because I love that kind of connection, and that's what I love about this opportunity to like have speakers and for everyone who's watching to start to experience and see all the amazing women that I know. Because I know that so many people are coming in here and struggling with this discovery of purpose, and I am lucky because man, my life is surrounded by people who really do know what their purpose is, and I love hearing the story of that discovery. So I'm wondering if you could actually take people a bit through your journey to how you actually started to get to that point where you really did know your own purpose and passion.
Well, first of all, let me start by saying what I really do, because we talk about healer and what does that really mean? It's like, what do you
Mm-hmm.
do for people? Really is the question. And
Right.
so, what I do for people is I like to work with driven women, those
Mm-hmm.
professional, driven women who they're passionate about living life, period, right? They want to make
Mm-hmm.
a lot of money, they want to have love. And in reality, they don't have it all, but they want it all. Those are the people
Totally.
I like to help because that's how I found my passion and purpose. Is I was like, why would I choose to have love over money? Why would I choose to have money over love? Why would I choose one thing over the other when in reality, I want it all? And that's really my passion, is to have it all. And a lot of people think that passion is what you do for a living. It's how you make money. And that's
Mm-hmm.
actually not reality. That's not truth. If anybody ever tells you that, question mark, because in reality, passion is passion, but passion can lead to how people make money. And I'll give you an example. One of the ways is, let's just take Match.com or eHarmony or one of those places, right? Somebody loved love. Somebody had a passion for love, and maybe they had a passion for matchmaking. They wanted to see people and help people get into that space of love. And so therefore they created an app and they created a website that made them millions of dollars and helped millions of people. So it's not necessarily Match.com is that person's passion, or eHarmony, or any of these other dating sites. It's that love is the passion. And so many people don't realize that. And those are the people I love to work with, is when we find out that love is their passion. They're like, wait a minute, how is that my passion? That's not what I do for a living. And it's like, because it doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with how you're making money. You can choose to make money that way, or you can choose to live a life of passion and do whatever you want to do in the meantime, right? So, that's what it really is about. So for me, my journey has been, I want everything. I want it all. And so I think early on, I was trying to figure out, who am I? And what would bring me joy, because most people don't know what's going to bring them joy, and you're not necessarily supposed to know that unless you've been introduced to the thing that brings you joy. I had never been a massage therapist before. I had never been a healer before, but I do remember being 5 years old and wanting to sprinkle fairy dust around people's houses and create magic and make them happy when they're not happy. And I didn't realize that was a healer. I didn't know that that's what that was. So I just kind of went with that, right? I just went with the idea. My mom said I was good with my hands. So I decided to look at a massage therapy program. It didn't start for 6 months, so I decided to go to something closer to me that was, something that would start right now. So I went to Twin Lakes Healing College in Santa Cruz. And I was just like, is there something I can learn where I can keep my clothes on? I tell that story all the time because it's hilarious. Like, who chooses like their career that way? But I was really thinking, I just want to learn how to do something now. I don't want to sit here. When I say I work with driven women, that's who I want to work with. That's because that's how I was. I just didn't want to sit on my butt all day. I wanted to do something. I wanted to learn something. Didn't matter if it was going to be something I did later on or not. And to me, I just wanted to learn how to heal my family. Like my mother and my daughter were really important to learn how to heal. And that kind of snowballed from there because for years I was a celebrity psychic. I mean, I was doing TV, radio, everything as a psychic going, I'm not a healer. People would be like, oh no, you're going to be a healer. You're a healer. And I'm like, I study healing. I mean, I studied healer for 12 years and I'd still tell you I'm never going to be a healer. I don't plan on being a healer. You done lost your mind. I'm not doing it. And then one day I heard a voice. I actually hear my guidance and I hear a voice. I'm watching TV. There's this woman doing some kind of healing work on the news, of all places, on the news. And I'm like, that's really interesting because when I first learned Reiki, we found out that they were doing Reiki in hospitals. And this was 21 years ago. Like this was unheard of. Like it blew my mind because you know how hard it was to get like massage therapy and acupuncture and nutrition on your insurance? That it took years. And now they're doing Reiki in hospitals. Like, where have I been? What is this? So then we're talking about, I don't know, 6-7 years later, there's healing on the news. I'm dumbfounded. I hear a voice that says you're going to do that in the near future.
And you're like, no.
Surprised how many women, especially women who actually get the inkling or the feeling or the message that they're going to do their purpose and they still say no because they don't understand that's their purpose. You too.
Oh, I mean, everyone. I would say everyone. That moment comes and you get your guidance or whatever you call it for me, like inner voice, intuition says something, and then you're like, oh no. So yes, I totally relate.
Because you're not going to know until you do it and you feel that passionate feeling about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many times do we think we know what our passion is? We think we know what it is, and then we try to make it into a business and it completely fails because it's not our passion. We don't know what it is, and that's the reality. And I think we would find peace if we actually realize that, because a lot of times people's passions don't even exist right now. Like if you think about people who are making millions of dollars on the computer, on the internet, the internet didn't exist, 25 years ago? Look at people who started making cell phones. What happens when cell phones didn't exist yet? Their passion it wasn't even in existence yet. They had to create it. So I'm like, it's not a bad thing not to know what your passion is. Maybe it doesn't exist yet. Maybe you're going to create it, or maybe you're going to kind of like fall into it after you reject it a couple times.
Well, I love that. Like, it doesn't exist yet because probably like, so for cell phones, it was like the passion was communication. Yeah. Right. Like, it's like that is what actually drove that. Or I think about back a long time ago, I talked to a friend and we talked about digital voice to text. And we were like, I don't know how to do that. That sounds hard. And like, that's everywhere. Right. But we used to say that, wouldn't it be so convenient if you just talk and then all of a sudden you have the text, and now that's everywhere. Right.
Yeah. Yep. And then you had apps that didn't exist, and all of a sudden somebody created an app, and now people are passionate about it. It's really interesting to really talk about passion, because the only way to really discover your passion is to have somebody help you walk through that process, or just walk through the process of life and discover it. But there's nothing wrong with not knowing what it is, as long as you're moving forward with the things that make you happy, because passion means happiness. That's all it is. Something that makes you feel good when you do it. So if you're doing things that make you feel good, you're going to fall into that line of work anyways, or you're going to discover how to live every single moment of every single day with that passion.
That's so powerful. I love what you're sharing, because I think a lot of times people go like, I don't know what my purpose is. And I'm like, well, you know, things that make you happy. So lean into that. It's not like you have to have this whole thing mapped out. I think a lot of times with purpose, people think it's like this, like it's really specific and clear, and they're going to know the rest of their life. And I'm like, it just doesn't work that way, right?
And how many times does it change?
Yeah, constantly. And purpose, I think that's a big thing for that. I hope this series helps people really understand it's an evolution, because you evolve, like humans evolve. Your purpose and what you're doing and what you care about, it changes so much. And I'm sure it's changed for you multiple times.
What you're saying is so right on. I use the language a little bit differently. I wouldn't say that it necessarily changes. I probably have in the past, but I changed it a little bit, because what I have found is no matter what a person is doing, does it really change, or has it been a stepping stone to get you to that place? Like, could you have gotten to the end results without taking those steps over there?
Oh yeah, never. No,
so it's like, aren't you on your path the whole entire time? Aren't you on purpose the whole entire time? The only time I feel like people really fail when it comes to purpose is when they just kind of give up and don't do anything. Well, I don't know what it is, so I'm just not going to do anything. It's the only time you can fail, because right now you're on your purpose. If you're watching this, if you're watching this episode, you're on your purpose.
Exactly.
You're
I love
there.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like you left us with a cliffhanger because you were sitting there and you saw on the news what you're supposed to do. So tell us what happened next.
I'm going to do healing work. And it's funny, as much as I hear my guidance and it's so crystal clear, and people sometimes are a little jealous of that. And some people are like, how do I learn how to do that too? Because that's exciting. It's not foolproof, because I will still argue with it. I will still be like, you're crazy. I don't know who's talking to me right now. I don't care if it's my angels, it's my guides, it's my higher self, it's my mind, my subconscious. You're crazy. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to be a healer. I don't think so. Why did I study for 12 years? I don't get it. That's going to be like a question mark for a long time of why I constantly refused it, even when the voice came to say, you will do this. Okay. 12 years of my life training to be a healer, but yet I refuse. And I ended up miserable for like a good year and a half, because I didn't want to do psychic readings anymore. I was like so done. I did not want to do this. And I'm like, what else am I going to do? I need to go work for somebody else because I can't do this anymore. And, I still didn't listen to the voice. I'm still like, I'm not going to be a healer. I know in my mind, the rejection of it was, I didn't think people would pay for it. Like, I'm not going to make more money than I am as a psychic, because being a psychic is like this mystical, magical thing. Like, I'm a magical being who gets to tell you your future and tell you stuff you don't even believe it. It still comes true. And people are going to pay a lot of money for that. But who's going to pay for a healer? Like, who's going to do that? Nobody's going to do that. So that was my mindset on why, but why wouldn't I still do it when I was miserable doing this? I'm telling you, whoever's listening to this, it's resonating with somebody. That's why I'm pushing this. I wasn't being very smart. That's how we're going to. I was not being very wise, because I was literally rejecting the thing I heard that I would do. So many of us do this. I feel you. We're not stupid. We're just human. And not very smart in the moment. And that's okay. That's okay. That's part of the journey. But I was being pushed by a friend of mine to just try out this healing. Just try it.
Good friend.
And I'm like, I don't want to. And she was like, but she'll come and teach us how to do this healing work. You know how long I've been studying healing work? I'm good. So literally it took her 3 tries. And then she said, listen, just try a 15-minute free. If you don't like it, we won't learn it. And I was like, that's it? Like, you'll leave me alone? You will leave me alone if I do this? Sure, why not? Just so you'll leave me alone. Just so you will leave me alone. So this woman calls me. She does like a 15-minute healing on me. And all I remember is she said, what do you want to heal? And I thought about it, and I told her what I wanted to heal. And it's been like this lifelong issue. Like, I really want to get rid of it. I don't even remember what it is this day. I know it was something that bothered me for years, because it was crystal clear when she asked me about it. But it was like it was removed during the 15-minute call. So this is what I did. I went on YouTube. And I think this news thing was from like 6 years prior, but I went on YouTube and I started looking up healing and news. I found the clip that I was told you would do this in the future. And it was the same healing work. It was the same healing work. I literally was rejecting the very thing that was my passion and purpose in life. I'm telling you, it's funny. So I was like, oh, I have to do this. Like, this is literally the exact same healing technique. Okay, then. So we did the class. We took the class. It was Theta Healing. And that I think I did for 3 or 4 years. And it started downloading new information on how to put everything that I had learned over the past 12, 13, 14, 15 years at this point, all into one modality and start healing people even faster. And so then I started getting these results from people. Like, I have one class that this woman said, you kept saying you wanted to make millionaires from this class. Well, you did it. It took 2 months to become a millionaire. 2 months. And another woman, and I don't claim to do any of this. None of this is a guarantee. Everybody's different. But I just take clients' testimonials. I trust what they're telling me, right? Because why else will they tell me this? So I had one client tell me that when she had entered my webinar, and I really love group sessions because group sessions are like plugging into a battery. Things happen a lot faster. Mm-hmm. So she said when she entered the webinar, she had breast cancer, and she knew she had breast cancer. She had been diagnosed with breast cancer. When we were in the healing work for that webinar, she felt it leave. And then it was later shown that it was gone. So something in that webinar completely healed her or helped her heal herself. And I've had people tell me about like chronic issues. That's disappeared. Now, mind you, let's go back to when I was a little girl. And I said, I want to sprinkle fairy dust on people and I want to make them happy. That's what I get with people. They feel happiness. They're rediscovering their happiness in life. That feels like it's lost when you're suffering every day, when it feels like it's lost when you're just trying to pay your bills, or you're just trying to find love, or you're just trying to find your passion and purpose. There seems to be this lack and this this just suffering that's always happening. Like I'm just always in this place that I don't want to be in anymore. And so I get to help people. That's my passion and my purpose, is totally helping people create the lives that they want, how to get it all. And so chronic diseases can disappear, chronic health issues can disappear, money can come in, love can come in. I've seen it all. But it's really about understanding what you want to feel in the future. And that's what you follow, is what you want to feel in the future. Not the thing, what you want to feel will give you a lot of clarity on your life.
Well, I love that, because it's so true. When people have stuff that doesn't have anything to do, zero, right, with happiness. There's so many wealthy people who aren't happy.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like experience of it. And then that's going to actually give you what you're looking for. And then, for people, it is purpose and passion. And like, that's going to keep you going and give you energy. Right.
Oh, yeah. And so many people look at, I think what I deal with a lot of is women who are just like, why did that happen to me? And why is this? And why is that? And one is like weight, right? Because so many of us women struggle with the hormones and the weight, and we think we're eating something healthy and we don't realize we're actually being poisoned. So many issues. But it's fascinating. So I was 100 pounds heavier than I am now, right? And it was only in like the exercising and releasing of the weight that I was really fascinated by how much the body shifts and changes, that I want to learn more about the body. I want to understand the body. How does the body work? Because this is fascinating stuff. But if I was skinny my whole entire life, I would have never discovered I actually have a passion for learning this stuff, right? So it's like we sit there and we think, oh, we're suffering, somebody's punishing us, God is punishing. And I'm like, that could just be part of your passion. Look at what you hate, and then look at the opposite of what you hate, and maybe you'll discover a new passion in life. You'll find your purpose. But that was really extraordinary to me, because I was really actually kind of dumbfounded about how much fun I was having just watching my body shift and change, and like be amazed, like, oh my God, that looks different today. But I'm not making money off of that necessarily. I'm just enjoying my life. It's part of my passion and purpose, but I'm just enjoying my life. I'm just watching my body change and I'm enjoying it, right? Totally. So yeah, it's I think people just they get caught up in these negative emotions, not realizing that's probably part of the path that you need to be on to get to where you want to be in the first place. So
yeah, totally. The struggle, like we want the struggle to be over, but the struggle is actually telling us so much about ourselves and what's next, right? And then you have to be in that before you can go to that next stage. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, what would be like the key, you'd say, for people like right now? You're like telling them all, like you're already on your purpose, like you're watching this thing. For them, I don't know if it's something to know or a practice or a tip that you would give them. Like, what could they do right now? Okay.
Yeah, there's a few. One of them is don't do it on your own. I had teachers. I studied. You know how much healing work I did? I keep telling you, it's 12 years of healing, right? There's a lot of teachers in that time where I could not have gotten the results that I get with people right now, or for myself, if I hadn't have learned from other people who are already doing it. The beauty of like the stuff that we do is that we probably took years to get there. I know I did. It was a long journey of studying and learning. But when I get my students, and sometimes I look at this and I'm like, oh, that doesn't seem fair. But what it took me 12 years to do, they get to do in a year. You surpass. You literally turn decades into days. You accelerate your process by working with somebody else. So I'd always tell you, don't ever be without a coach. I've got a coach. My first coach I think I got was like 13 years ago, and I've always had one since. Whether you're working online and you're taking an online course and that person is your coach in that way, or you're reading a book, that person is coaching you through something at that time. And then you move on and you actually get somebody that you're on a webinar with, you're in a call with, maybe you're working with them one-on-one, but you want to go ahead and you want to work with somebody who's already done it. They're already doing what it is that you want to do, because it will accelerate that process and get you on your path. And it helps you find that path a lot sooner than it would if you were doing it on your own. You know, that's why a lot of people, they're like, oh, I'm in my 50s and I'm finally finding it. Well, you probably could have found it in your 30s or 40s, but did you do it all by yourself up until that time, you know? You have to put yourself out there to get help. And so many women struggle with, well, I feel like I have to do it on my own. I feel like I have to do it by myself. I feel like I should just magically pop out of the vagina and the womb and know exactly what I'm supposed to do with my life. And it's like, that's not reality. So get help. Just get help. The other aspect of that, I actually have techniques that help people, because basically whenever somebody takes a class with me, whenever they take a webinar with me, whenever they take any kind of homeschooling course, it doesn't matter what you're doing with me, you always have to find your happiness, because that leads to your purpose. So I will never go forward with you until you learn what it is that you actually desire. And I'll give you an example. This woman, it's always fascinated me when she wrote me to tell me this, but she's like, I didn't know you from Adam. I don't know who you are. I've never heard of you before. She's like, I don't even know how I end up in your webinar. But she said, you had us write down what we desired, what we would like to change today if we could. And she said she'd been a smoker for 30 years. And so she wrote down that she wanted to stop smoking. And she was like, it was never going to happen because I've been a smoker for 30 years since I was a teenager. Like, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So I don't care. I don't care what your belief system is. That's not my problem. My problem is a solution, right? Give you the solution so you can get what you want out of life. Because remember, I want to work with people who want everything. So she said that night she went through the webinar. She did the exercises and everything that I told her to do. But she knew where she wanted to be. She knew what she didn't like, and she knew she wanted the opposite of it. And sometimes it's really that simple to find your passion and your purpose. And she said the next day she took her last cigarette. She took a hit of her last cigarette, and she was done quick, cold turkey after 30 years. And that's not the first time I've heard that story. A lot of people will just like stop smoking because like right there, that's their passion, their purpose in that moment is to learn how to get healthy and to learn that healing is possible for them so that they'll keep moving forward in their life. Sometimes that's just the boost that they need to keep going. And so, you know, it's really about knowing how you want to feel. It's knowing what you want to experience in life is part of your passion and purpose. So if you really want to discover that, write it down. What do you want today? If you could heal anything today, what would it be? And your passion, your purpose is probably on the other side of that.
I love that. So powerful, right? I'm with you on the get help. Like literally one thing goes over my life. I'm like, who can help me? Like I send out the feelers, find my teachers, get my coaches, right? And then that other piece of like, well, what do you really want? And I think a lot of people get very afraid of that question. Yeah. And then when you can actually lean into it, that's where things start to break open, truly. And amazing things happen, like quitting smoking or doing really big, powerful things. Well, Adrien, I love chatting with you. I love your energy. And I was like, oh, right, this is exactly why, like we had such great connection from our first time too. And just who you are and the way your energy is just like really big. And I appreciate it so much, and how you exude it into the world and sharing your passion with us. Like, I'm just so grateful. So thank you so much for being here with us, truly.
You're very welcome.
Yes. Oh, I almost forgot. I know you have something for us. So can you just tell us a little bit about what you've got?
You know what? Sometimes I change what the free gift is depending on the energy of like the interview. So I'm not sure yet, but I have a free gift page. So people will be able to go in and they'll actually like watch videos. They'll be able to download healings, meditations. So I don't just give one thing. I give something like, you would actually pay for this. Like, would you be willing to pay for this thing? That's what I'm going to give you. I don't want to give you just a free gift that you're just like, oh, that's a throwaway. It's like, I use these three. I felt the difference. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I'm giving you a gift where I've sprinkled fairy dust in your life. So it'll be something along those lines people can download.
Okay, perfect. Click on it in the email and you'll get this awesome free gift, fairy dust. Get some Adrien fairy dust. It's going to be fantastic. Thank you so much, Adrien. I'm so grateful you gave your time and who you are to us today. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.